on camera. I need water. You might say, oh, that's staged. Oh, I'm on camera. But usually the program, you click on the button and it doesn't work right the first time. And it takes like 15 seconds. And then the button pops up red, the record button. And so I usually stop it and then restart. Okay, well, I walked a little further this morning. Okay, my pulse ain't too bad. Alright, well, I'm going to have to open the window. It's 36 degrees outside, but here, and this hat's itchy and pretentious. Because the guy upstairs says that the only people who wear hats are people that have something to hide. That is the guy that scolded me for my impoliteness. The only people that wear hats are people with something to hide. Because that one day he was taking a mini razor and clipping his head on the porch and throwing his hair on the porch, saying that the birds would make nests of it. Or no, he thought it would blow away in the breeze and then the birds would make nests of it. Just kind of collected in a corner on the porch. But then he, his hair was all patchy and fucked up. He says, man, this is all fucked up looking, isn't it? And I said, yeah, I got something for you. And I handed him a hat through the window. And he wore the hat. He took it off and said the very puzzling and infamous line, the only people who wear hats are people with something to hide. Do you wear a hat? The only people who wear glasses when they're on camera are people who are not respective of their audience because of the glare. And I don't open my eyes very wide, but I'm very capable of doing it so you can see into the very depths of my soul. I think I have a little coffee left, so I can reach forward and grab that. That's just what I need for my heart rate. It's only a couple of swallows. I rearranged the chair a little bit to try to get the cardboard off the screen, but it didn't really work. Or I guess it works there. I really didn't try to make it work. So, yesterday I did not spend my time whacking off. Yesterday I looked at apartments. And I looked at apartments. And I looked at apartments. I found one. But it wasn't a single layer unit. But I could still live in a second story. And it's in Akron, Ohio though. Which I don't really want to move to Akron, Ohio. But then I'm like, what's the difference? Well, the difference is like, here I can take a bus and I can go over and see my brother. Akron is up towards Cleveland. I have been thinking about going to the Cleveland Clinic and trying to get help there. But I don't need to live I don't want to live that far away, so I didn't see anything else that really grabbed me. And as far as like, that place is on a lake, and $650 to $750 a month rent, and tons of greenery around it, and it's on a lake. So I could actually walk out and fish, even if it's just for carp. I could walk out and fish if I felt like it. So, because carp tend to be everywhere. They're an invader species from Asia. And like the Chinese, there's tons of them. But, so, after I looked at apartments, I just fell into like a black pit of despair. Because I already know where I want to move. It's right down the road. And they won't let me move in there. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I didn't try hard enough. because I have a tendency to do that, you know. Um, call it upbringing, call it whatever you want. But to me, no means no. You know, maybe I'll talk to the other dude about it, the Brent guy, which I keep saying his name on here, which probably is not going to help me build a friendship. I don't talk smack about people on here, except for people that I cut ties with. Wait a minute, maybe he has a point. Yeah. So, I don't know. That one video I made, I'll just leave it up because it is the truth, and um, you know, she's not going to be with us much longer, and it's not a lie. It's you know, it's just what is it called? For once the whole story or something like that. But I just, yeah, I was feeling vengeful at the time, I guess. I thought about taking that down, but I did not. But anyways, I fell into this black pit of despair yesterday where I just didn't want to move, and I was bad. After I looked at apartments, I was just bad. And I didn't want to move, and I couldn't move. I was like, I need to call somebody. I'm like, well, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. I got nobody to call. Ain't nobody gonna be awake and ready. They don't want to hear my garbage at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I said, well, I could make a video and talk to people on the internet about how I feel. I already did that today, like 2 hours ago. Or 3 hours ago. I'm not gonna do that again. So I just kind of laid there and was in a black pit of misery. I don't, you know, it's just like, it's hard to comprehend when you're in my physical shape and you have my infrastructure of human support, you know, where I'm dependent on people that I don't really have a relationship. It's just kind of their job. They're clocking in with several other people. And I'm not the squeaky wheel. You know, I'm not the kind of guy that pushes, but I was like, why can't I just go to the place I want to live and I'll have like $6,000 and be like, I got $6,000. I don't see what the problem is. If I can save up $6,000 on what I'm making now, it's like I mean, I don't understand why you can't go in and pay a lease ahead of time. You know, they think that of that in the application preamble. It was like that's circumventing the rules. You know, I'm gonna fuck you over later by paying all your money up front, so you don't have to worry about rent for 3 months. In the meantime, I'm just pocketing all my money, and then I could probably do the same damn thing again and pay 3 months in advance again. You know, I just, I'm not built that way, you know, to where like we can work around these bylaws. It's like they're not the 10 Commandments, you know. Maybe I'll talk to the Brent. That's where I want to live, though, man. I want to live in that Stonehenge place. I want to live with nobody above me and nobody below me. If I live in this place that's all the way up in Akron, I'm not going to be able to see any of my family here because they're going to be so far away. I'm going to be isolated. And yeah, I want to make, you know, new friends and have new people to talk to and change everything, but I ain't that brave, man. I was thinking about it yesterday. It's like, I'm not that brave, man. That's a bold fucking move. It's one thing if you got a healthy body to rely on and you're not worried about your heart blowing out. Like yesterday, I had a nice bout of arrhythmia because after I got off my ass, it took a few hours. I did some more work, and then I laid down and I like dozed off, and I woke up with a minor bout of arrhythmia, and I was like, oh, I pushed too hard, and then my legs wouldn't work. That's why I stopped working yesterday, is because my legs were no longer trustworthy and I couldn't afford another fall. I usually limit myself to one fall every 2 weeks. So to have a fall 2 days in a row Didn't seem like a good plan, so into the bed I went. But yeah, it's a lot different than when I was 20 odd years old, and my legs worked pretty good, and I didn't have a heart problem. And I stuffed $800 in my sock and went to Georgia. I just dropped me off at a McDonald's and just walked into the unknown. It's different now. It's like my body don't work right, and I also don't know, like, moving that far away, how that would affect any of my benefits as far as like food service and all the other things that help me save up those vast amounts of money, which would not be disrupted if I could move into the Stonehenge place that is 3 miles down the road. And you know, I don't know. I have to talk to my psychiatric nurse, so I probably should be saving some of my misery uh, for him rather than sharing it with you. But you know, every day is a damn struggle, man. It just gets tiresome. It's tiresome worrying about the heart. It's not even fun. Any fun walking. I have to concentrate harder walking than I do when I'm trying to elocute, pick the right words on here to say, or when I am dancing around a dicey subject where I have to be careful about the things that I say. You know, I still can't keep from saying that guy's name because I've never known anybody with that name. Maybe, I don't know, but I thought it would be cool with like the real estate agent guy, because it's kind of funny if you think about it. He's just like a caseworker or a case manager at a community outreach program that handles. It doesn't just handle like psychiatric things. It handles like people with trouble with living circumstances, people with substance issues, etc., etc. As a matter of fact, one of the first things you see when you walk in there is a big list of medications they won't prescribe. So, because they have like a cattle call system where you just walk in there, and I even called them on the phone first, and they're like, "Well, you just walk in there, and I recommend getting there as early as possible, and we just take random new people in a specific order. Whoever gets there first and signs the sign-in sheet first." So I'm sitting down, I'm looking at this piece of paper on the wall, and I'm trying to get volume, because I'm trying to get off the Xanax at the time, so I'm trying to find a steady source of volume. And there's of course a list of things that they won't prescribe, and right on the list is benzodiazepines with a subset of listing of all the names of the benzodiazepines, including Valium. And I was like, well, I'm here, I'll talk to the guy anyway. And I talked to the guy, and I had been talking to the guy for a long time, and he was like, I mentioned something about it, and he knew that I was, of course, by that time, that I had a Xanax issue. And he was like, oh, I'll prescribe you Valium. And I'm like, what? I've been going to see the guy for like 4 months. Like, what? And he's like, yeah. He says, that's a different situation. And I said, well, it says on the sign out there you don't do that. And he goes, no, we don't prescribe that to people that come in here and ask for it. You're already on them. So, and then he's like, generally speaking, no, he didn't say that. He said, I said, what? And he said, yeah, this is like, I'd like to help you get off of those. So I will prescribe you Valium because of the Ashton method. I'm like, you heard of like Heather Ashton? He was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, that's the method that's proven most successful. And I'm like, okay, what's my next question here? And I was kind of stumped for a while, and I thought about it, and I was like, I'm stumped now thinking of what I was saying, but I was definitely stumped back then. It kind of escaped me what my next thing was, but oh, I asked him, I said, so like how much experience have you had with like taking people off of Xanax and then dropping them down and then getting them off of benzodiazepines? And he's like, none. He said, nobody's ever come in here and asked to be off of Xanax or wanted to be off of Xanax. So I'm like, okay, doesn't matter. It's still a source of volume. I felt so much better on volume than I have on Xanax. I just had a comment of somebody ridiculing me about. He's like, "Oh no, you're not." I forget what he said because it was broken English, but he was like, "Oh no, you're not high on Valium or Xanax or anything." Something along those lines. I'm not going to go back and check, but I just wrote, "Is English your first language?" And I gave him a thumbs up, to try to encourage him to respond. Because, I don't want to like savage anybody if English isn't their first language or to understand, like, what are you driving at exactly? So I've had a guy come in here, or come on here with a name that was just saying, that was like accusing me of just milking this thing for airtime or for something to talk about. Like I need to find things to talk about. It's like, no, man, you don't get it. He's like, you should have been off. I remember he said, you should have been off of this stuff by now. He's like, if you want to take drugs, just take drugs, man. I'm tired of seeing that you're still putting up videos. And I forget the tactic that I used against him, where I'm like, out of all my videos, you picked out this one. It's like, if that's not a clear sign of somebody doing trolling, I don't know. Because he was referencing, you know, he referenced a specific video that's like, not one of the first videos I made, but it's like, it was, yeah, I'm not gonna like waste time while I'm struggling to breathe and wondering about my heart, looking up this old stuff. But I remember like, I patiently explained to him after pointing out that he was a troll and how I figured out that he was a troll, that he was just wanting to fuck with people, which is like, that is one of the sickest things you can do, is mess with somebody in benzodiazepine withdrawal, man. It's like kicking a puppy, man. You don't want to do that. But I explained to him, like, it's different for everybody. It's like it takes a different amount of time for everybody. And I was anxious to get out of here because I hated here so much. And that I explained to him that I had already made the decision at the time that I wasn't going to get off benzodiazepines as long as I was living here. And then that was before like I realized I was doing pretty good, and I started to taper, and then I went through the whole episode where I dropped from 12.5 milligrams a day to 10 in 9 days, which was asinine, which I did in February, the same time the COVID virus got here. And the COVID virus became a thing in February in the United States. So then I shot back up to 15. I took that fabled one step forward, 2 steps back, because I was down to 12.5. I was hanging fine at 12.5, and then I got greedy, and I dropped it to 10 milligrams after 9 days, which was an asshole move. And so now I'm at 15. And some days, like, I haven't taken any yet today, but some days I take 10 milligrams. We'll see. I'll add it up at the end of this period of time. But no, I enjoy talking and stuff, but I don't need an excuse. It just happened this way, It just kind of happened this way. Like I said, my first videos were like January of 2018, and that was when I was like had come out of a psychiatric unit, because I was in full-blown dependence at that point, and I admitted myself into a psychiatric unit because I had those issues with my sister which made me take more stupidly, like run myself short. I'm like, cold turkey, psychiatric unit. Door number 2, Monty. There's an old reference for you. I used to watch that with my grandmother. I mentioned that's one of the things that I mentioned with my aunt is how her, I forget, it was actually organic, but it's always something that still cracks me up. There's nothing my grandmother loved more than watching 2 men beat the shit out of each other. I don't know if she just hated men or just enjoyed violence or what the deal was, but that's what I would do is I'd go over to Granny's house and I would watch. Now, I'm not talking about the grandmother on the evil side of the family, my father's side. I'm talking about the grandmother on my mother's side. And the elderly aunt that I call is my mother's sister. And it's their mother, who's a kindly, saintly woman that liked to watch men beat the shit out of each other. So I'd go over there as a kid and eat Kentucky Fried Chicken and watch wrestling. At that point, wrestling was a local phenomenon. It wasn't the big WWF. It was the McMahons that got the idea to, like, consolidate all the territories. But that's a whole nother matter of trivia that will just lead me astray. Wrestling and boxing, there was a lot of it on TV in the 70s. So we'd always look up at her. While I was eating my Kentucky Fried Chicken she bought me. When in the 70s I would be anywhere from 7 to 12 years old. I still remember the smell of the soap they had over there because they always had palm olive soap, and I always thought it smelled weird. And I could still have mental images through the clear, unclutteredness of a child's mind of what that place, how that place was laid out, the oddities about the gigantic dinner table that seemed like it was impossible to flip over, but at one point was flipped over because I had an uncle who had PTSD from World War II that always was screaming about the enemy attacking. And sadly, I don't remember if it was the Germans. I may ask about that. That was my Uncle Ray. But he was on the good side of the family, but he would flip out and occasionally, punch holes in walls or flip over a gigantic table, which as a kid, the thought of that table being flipped over seemed impossible. It seemed like a table that belonged in the Lord of the Rings at the Council of Elrond or some damn thing. It was just a gigantic, huge table they had it was like they had like huge family gatherings, so you could sit, I don't know how many people around this table. And that's where I would go for like Easter and Thanksgiving and stuff like that, because the other side of the family was busy murdering, robbing, and killing people. And I think that was redundant. But there is a difference between murdering people and killing people. Killing people sometimes just happens. Murdering people implies intent. So perhaps that wasn't redundant. But anyways, today I don't know what these legs are going to be able to do. But I know I have to talk to the dude. And I have to try to make an impression somehow. And it's like, maybe I should follow up on the Stonehenge place and find if there's some way past their bylaws. I checked my bank account. After I pay my bills, I'll have $4,300 in my bank. I'll have $1,000 in a drawer over here, and I'll have $1,248 free and clear. So if you do the math, I'm gonna have over $6,500, even factor in expenses. Though I should probably do the math with a pen and paper because you know how good I am at math. So I do not see why I can't go into a place and plunk down $5,000 and say, you don't have to worry about me as a credit risk. You don't have to worry about anything like that. I am not a mobster. I'm all fucked up, but nobody's ever shot or stabbed me. So, except for me, I'm the only one that's ever stabbed myself. So, I'm not a criminal. I've got no criminal record. I mean, I don't see what the big deal is. All your money's going to be paid up front. and if I can't hang there financially, there will be no loss involved. I'll just, I don't understand that rule. Like, what place wouldn't want to be paid in advance? But it's maybe to weed out like drug dealers. I don't know. But yeah, I don't like this whole apartment searching thing, man. It's the logistics of it bothers me because I'm all fucked up and I got to depend on other people. And trying to find a place that's suitable is not that easy. I looked up the places, um, the Friendship Village places, no vacancies. Very nice looking place too, but no vacancies. And I looked up mm, Amherst Meadows, and I think either Friendship Village or Amherst Meadows, I forget which one had a 55 uh, age requirement because it's like a retirement community. So I'm 3 years shy of that anyway. I don't know if they have like special dispensation for people that are handicapped or not. I don't know. Um, the Brent guy said last week, I said his fucking name again. I guess he's sorry, dude. You're doomed. I can't keep from saying your name. Um, um, he told me like we should set up an appointment like next week. So maybe I'll text him this morning. That doesn't take my legs texting. Um, but yeah, I did some damage when I fell. Uh, I don't even know how I fell, but I still like it's just years and years of habit. I still end up like leaving my cane across the room and having to hold on to walls, or it's hard to like carry supper, and carry like hold on to the wall and stuff, or carry in a cup of coffee. And that's what happened when I fell, is I was carrying in my coffee and I had to throw my coffee over my shoulder. That reminds me of something that's so funny. It looked like something in a cartoon. It was like I had it wasn't coffee, it was um, Dr. Pepper. But I was at somebody's house and they had like white furniture, and person's like a neat freak anyway. And I had this cup, and don't think of it as a smug, think of it as like a big cup. But I'm talking and I'm into my storytelling mode and I'm gesturing and shit. And I gesture like this, and the spout of like Dr. Pepper comes out like that, and it's like I said like this when I gestured, and I actually said and sucked it all back up into the cup and didn't spill a drop. And my my audience was like following it with their eyes. Whew. Actually, time slowed down for me, and I saw like this like S pattern of soda outside of my glass, and I said, "Put it back in the cup." I have never since tried to duplicate that because I understand the impossibility and the magic of that. That's one of the things like uh, a million and one type of things that would happen, but they didn't say anything about it at all because they didn't know what to say. I think they forgot what I was talking about after I did that. But yeah, I was getting animated telling the story. Uh, but yeah, it's still cold here. The high is going to be over 50, but I don't think I'm going to go outside. Besides, my early morning walk here, and I'm going to, you know, be real careful. I didn't want, my heart's been acting a little strange, so I didn't want to take any Neurontin last night, even though I was tempted to because of pain. Uh, because I don't know. I just feel like I don't fuck with it. The status quo, man, don't fuck with it. You listen to your body. Your body's talking back to you, and my heart's had some unpleasant things, said some nasty things about me yesterday, but it took them back. thank goodness, because I don't want to end up in the hospital. As far as my dental situation, I'm really not in the frame of mind to address that, but teeth wait for no man. So, yeah, I'm not in the best of spirits, to say the least. I mean, Stampy Jr. is still upstairs, I know that. The noise in here is unbelievable. I should stop and talk to Michelle, just out of curiosity. That's Stampy's name. And just ask her, like, does Chris even live here anymore? Because I think she chased him out, because her noise is louder to him than it is to me, because he lives right next door to her upstairs. So I think according to the landlord, he still pays rent here, but I never see him and I never hear him. So I think he just stays at other people's houses and comes here to sleep, because she does keep regular hours, and she does, quiet down at night, which is her soul saving grace. Besides doing the garbage regularly. Um, by doing the garbage, I mean wheeling the cans out to the curb, because the garbage man cannot be troubled to walk 30 feet to get the cans. You got to put them right on the road, which didn't used to make any sense, but now makes sense, because the garbage company has the claw hook things now that shake the cans back. I see I almost recreated the cup moment, but there's not enough liquid in here to do that. Except for this time I would just would have poured it on my head. But yeah, it's just interesting to me, like the times where it used to be quiet here is when she's gone. But now she has a relief pitcher, which is the dog. So when it's noisy when she's here, and it's noisy when she's gone. So when she's gone, the dog is barking constantly because it doesn't like being left alone, and it's locked up in a large doggy house type cage, so it can't chew on things, I guess, or piss on the furniture, or God knows what else. But anyway, so it's just up there, just going off when she's not here. So I'm screwed either way, which I did not. I knew as soon as I saw that puppy, I was like, shit. I knew this place was going to get even worse, which um, it's why I want to move out of here so bad. It's just everything keeps getting worse, and then she put up the wind chimes now, so that the time that I do spend in the warmer weather, I will be hearing the nasty wind chimes, because they're like right outside. They're like I got 3 windows, 2 like this, 1 like this. The wind chimes are hanging like right here on the porch, which it's a community porch. She has a right to hang wind chimes, I guess. I'm not going to confront her about that. Like, take down the fucking wind chimes. I just don't want anything to do with anything. I'm withdrawn from this whole situation. It's like, in my mind, I already don't live here. But in reality, I live here, and I'm stuck here until I can find a suitable place to move into. I mean, I was so messed up yesterday after looking at apartments that I was like, what if my brother will take me in for a while? And I was like, what the hell are you even thinking, man? There's something wrong with you. It's like, I could help him out because he's got less money than me, and I could help get the house fixed up, and, I wouldn't have to be alone, and his dog's freshly dead, and he's alone all the time, and I don't have to stay there permanently, but I wouldn't be here, but my brother's super hard to get along with, and it would be weird. I mean, he already told me, like, now that I got the house to myself, he's like, sorry, dude, but no matter what your circumstances is, you ain't getting back in here. I'm like, why would I want that? That even crossed my mind yesterday as a temporary solution, because I was like, well, I could live there and, like, do the fake rent thing, or like, like I'm paying him X amount of dollars on the rent when really I'm not, and just like help fix the place up with that supposed rent money that I'm paying him. and I could that would probably wreck my sanity altogether. And I was in such a fucked up state of mind that the thought occurred to me. It's like, yeah. So yeah, things things are not very clear and pristine in this old noodle of mine at the moment. Um, I'm gonna continue this walking thing though. Now I got my schedule carved out pretty well. I did tire myself and take a nap, and I still woke up at uh, right at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I took a walk around 5:30 when it just was starting to get light out. But I seem to have a schedule worked out, and, and that seems to be okay. I'm not really trusting my heart right now because it just feels weird in there. So I take blood pressure pills, you know, um, which is there's research that shows that steady metoprolol usage is not good for you. But like, my heart was beating too fast yesterday, so I take blood pressure pills, and it kind of like it gives me that washed out, wiped out kind of feeling, but it lowers my heart rate. And it's not a benzodiazepine. It's not addictive, so or physically addictive. Hey, the woodpeckers are in fine form. You didn't hear them, but I did. A lot of woodpeckers in this neighborhood. For some reason that doesn't bother me, but that sound that the woodpeckers make on the trees. So they're getting a little. Their bellies don't. There he goes again. Their bellies don't care about how cold it is. Birds don't seem to care about how cold it is. I don't know why that is, but yeah, and his belly ain't waiting for spring. He's like, spring be damned, man. I'm gonna do some hunting. That's why they peck on wood. He's like, I'm gonna do some hunting because I'm hungry, damn it. And anyways, I hope I don't fall into that black pit of despair that I was in yesterday, because that wasn't good. Where it's like, that's where having a pet is kind of good, because I was like, well, you know what? You got a cat out there, maybe. Because he did. I missed him the day before, but yesterday he showed up. I didn't have any food laid out for him, so that gave me an excuse to get out of bed. And when I didn't eat anything yet that day, I didn't do anything but look at apartments and think stupid things, like moving back in my folks' house and helping my brother fix up the house. Uh, so that got me out of bed. It's like a cat's belly, like that woodpecker out there. It waits for no. It don't care about my moods. You know, that's just, you have a responsibility. That's your cat. Go feed him, stupid. So I don't know if he's out there right now. Let's see what time it is, since I'm drawing to a close here. 6:41. He might not have showed up yet. And since I got that invader cat that comes in here, I can't really put his food out early, because the other cat will come in the house and eat his food. I just leave the window open even when it's cold like this, so he can come in when, you know, that way I can lay in the bedroom, avoid the noise that will soon be happening here. And I need to rest anyway, and keep it warm in here. And it can be as cold as fuck out there. I don't care, but that way the cat can come in when it feels like it. And so anyways, how are you doing? These one-sided conversations. This is like a dream for some people. This whole internet thing, where like, you get to do all the talking, but I'm more interested in other people. Like I know myself pretty well, but I'm also like, I'm cautious about the questions I ask people, because I grew up around a lot of like heavily damaged people where conversations were like minefields, and things could get serious like really quick. and you wouldn't, to you it would to you. To me, it would be like an innocuous question, but it would open up a whole can of worms. I don't know if I can tell this story, but you tuned in, you paid your money, so you got to give you something. So, anyways, this is 2001 or two. I'm sitting at a dinner table with several members from the evil side of the family. And I think it was all members from the evil side of the family, actually, in South Carolina, in a three-story condominium overlooking the Atlantic Ocean in, of all places, Hilton Head, South Carolina, which me and Hilton Head, you want to talk about a beer and chocolate syrup mix? And like my poor ass in Hilton Head, in a condo on the beach, and there was like a winding spiral staircase you could go up to, and there was a lookout platform, and that's where I saw my first dolphins or porpoises. They were black, and I was very disappointed. And I'm not racist or anything like that, but I wanted to see a blue dolphin. I thought dolphins were supposed to be blue, like Flipper. I didn't want to see me no black dolphins. So, anyways, I did see blue dolphins later on on a fishing trip. I was amazed by their speed. But so I'm at this dinner table, right, in this unbelievable place, unbelievable, like $3 million, literally a $3 million condominium on the beach in Hilton Head, South Carolina, and I'm like, they were talking about the family and stuff, and I'm like, I wonder why my one uncle didn't talk to this other person who I can't name. And they were like, everybody just looked at me like I just, I got up and dropped my pants on the kitchen table while everybody was eating. And they were like, you don't need to be talking about that. And they're like, that it's like that's none of your business, And I'm like, okay. And I found out later that the one family member had fucked the other family member's wife, and that's why everybody jumped all over me, man. And it's like there's more to it, but I don't know if I want to go into it. But that's enough, isn't it? So I'm used to like that sort of a minefield of conversation where I'm like, I wonder why, somebody could have just said something like, well, that's what they did say. It's like, oh, that's between them, and other people told me outright, that's none of your business. There was like three or four people like come up with an answer all at once. One of them was, that's between them, that's none of your business, and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, it did have a direct effect on my life, but I guess it doesn't matter now because they're dead. So my father fucked his brother's wife. Okay. So it kind of was like rude of them to jump down my throat because it sort of had an effect on my life because that's my dad who was fucking around on my mom with his brother's wife. So this is why I have a problem with discovering boundaries in conversation. And I like to know about people, but I don't know, how far to go as far as questions and what to say or what to ask because of the utter insanity and madness that I grew up in and around. So I figure the guy that they're all dead now, so it doesn't matter. There are living people connected to him where they might not appreciate me saying that my dad fucked his brother's wife, but that's just facts. So now aren't you glad you hung around till the end to hear that uplifting and charming story? And isn't that kind of like instead of like yelling at me and making me feel like I just, mooned everybody at the dinner table, shouldn't they have like had compassion for me that my dad was fucking around on my mom? And like he actually got busted in the army because he went AWOL, because as he told my foster brother for some godforsaken unknown reason, like I just needed a piece of ass, man. It's not, shouldn't they have been like kinder to me and like instead of like shutting me down and making it seem like I was a bad guy for asking a simple question because I didn't know the backstory. And it's like that's between them two. I was like all these, you know, wrinkly old bat uncle, all these wrinkly old bat aunts because there was no uncles on that trip. There was my aunts on the evil side, and not the one that got fucked. And all these like younger relatives that would be my cousins. They didn't look very young at the time to me. I was in my that was 2001, so that would make me right around the height of my manhood, right around 30, give or take. And yeah, so that sort of you think they would like instead of being like that, they'd be a little more compassionate towards me, but that side of the family wasn't really long on compassion. Point is, I have trouble with boundaries about like what do I ask, what do I not ask people, what's safe, what's not safe. I don't like to talk about the weather, but I don't like to talk about people fucking other people as like, I mean, kind of leaves you at sea like when you're young, because I wasn't young at the time that happened, but that's just the kind of environment I grew up in where like anything could turn on a dime into something unpleasant. So that's why I have trouble with social nuance. And I don't think I have Asperger's. I don't think I'm autistic, but I have some of the traits involved therein because I I'm not good with social nuance. I'm not good with like conversation. It's like I either jump in the deep end or not talk or you know listen. Generally speaking, I don't like I mean, I did come on here talking about the weather, but it was very relevant to me because I was cold. It's 36 degrees in the middle of May, and there's no baseball to watch. And nothing to talk about, but uh, the daily struggle, you know. Because every day, man, I'm gonna try to keep this up. I got down and I got in a bad rhythm of sleep pattern after the Stonehenge place because I thought I was free as a jailbird, man. I thought I was out of prison and into a place where I wouldn't have to worry about no noise and that it was kind of rural and that, it was right down the road. And so that it did throw me in a tailspin for as far as sleeping and mood and everything. And that's why I didn't want to jump back up on the horse and look at apartments and stuff because it was hard to find that one. And a stupid rule. But like I said, maybe I could talk to the dude and maybe there's some way around that, or I don't know. Or maybe they're like my family, merciless. The rules are the rules. We didn't care about getting paid all this money up front. We don't care if you've only been in court once and it was over a bullshit complaint. You don't have any criminal history. We don't care about any of that. We care about our goddamn rules. We don't care about your crippled ass. Or maybe it's a different type of situation where I don't think that guy ever made that call for me, but I asked him to call. I told her like the woman's name's Valerie Bucher, and like that I talked to on the phone. It's like maybe you can talk to her, make sure I got my information straight. You know, that's the thing about like dudes got other people to worry about. And since I seem fairly together, and then other people, I'm sure more of a basket case, or at least I'm a basket case, believe me. But I mean, they present more of, they keep more of that on the outside. You know, more of the basketness is on the outside than me. It's like, due to the way that I was raised, it's like, it's, I express it calmly and in words. I don't, I'm not going to carry on. I'm not going to cry. So it's just a product of bad upbringing, you know. And that's around noon. And then, like, then I talked to the psychiatric nurse, and um, I don't know how to prepare myself for that conversation or what I should say. Um, he doesn't like pretend, at least he doesn't like pretend to know things, you know. Like when I asked him, it's like, well, have you, what's your like success rate as far as getting people off of what's your experience and your success rate as far as getting people off of benzodiazepines? He was like, I don't have any. Nobody ever asked. Nobody on Xanax has ever asked me before to do what you're asking me to do, which is to help you taper off of it. So he was like, oh boy, I get to do something new, And yeah, I just have to be careful, like not to push too hard and end up falling and stuff, because the falling is not good. It means a lot of pain and making things more difficult. Got some after I, just laid there immobilized by despair and misery. I did manage to get up, like I said, pet my cat, feed my cat, and then I was like, well, I'm up. Time to do some more housework. And I did some more housework and cleaning up the living room area because I have to get the living room area looking less like I said, like a rabid grizzly bear lives here than and like a human type person lives here. Even if everything is all piled up on end and jammed into a corner, I have to have, you know, when there's things like this big, not dust or debris, like tiny things, they're just like junk all over the floor in the living room because I don't live out there. And I don't care. And there's like stuff all over the floor in the one corner and stuff on top of the table. That's what I was working on yesterday, and that's what I have to do when I get off here and rest my legs. I'm gonna take a quick peek outside and see if darkness is out there waiting on me. See what he has to say. It's usually the same thing. Meow. Which is cat fur. Hey man, how you doing? Feed me. Do it now. But anyways, I hope you can. If your death situation is difficult, if you're struggling with the benzodiazepine, either withdrawal or the effects of it, or um, the after effects of being off of it, and you're wondering like, when the fuck am I gonna feel better? It's like, well, I'm not off of them, so all I can do is tell you that I hope that don't last too long for you. As far as those people are concerned that already made the jump that I was hoping to make, and that should have been made here before I ever had to pick up a machete and look at meth dealers and all that shit. I was on my way. Um, but things took a turn for the worse. And anyways, I wish all y'all the best because it's purely for selfish reasons, because people don't understand this, but people are all interconnected, and happier people out in the world equals a better world for me to live in. So I wish you the best for completely selfish reasons.